Okay, so what is the main holdup, the primary problem, the big one for almost anyone who tries to meditate, including me? I'm not an expert, so the whole point of this entire thing with the videos, the guided meditations, is to do things as a group together, not with a guru, an expert, a teacher. There are no meditation schools that I would take too seriously. Meditation, really, as practiced by people, certain people get more comfortable with it, more sort of loose with it, and they're able to describe things and help other people along. But to set oneself up as a guru with a long beard, short beard is okay, but long-bearded guru, it starts to get kind of silly. But what is the primary problem? What is it that gets people thinking, I can't do this, it never works? Okay, so let's start at the beginning. You read a book about meditating. You kind of want to get started, so you might buy yourself a pillow or a little stool or a pad or something. You might buy yourself a crystal bowl or something. You might buy yourself a flute, like I did. And the flute comes in very handy. I'll tell you why in a few minutes. For me, totally unnecessary, but it's just nice for me. Now, keep in mind that everyone tries meditation, most people do, and they hear about one major thing, and that is to clear the mind, to calm the mind, and to eliminate thoughts, to let thoughts drift away like clouds so that you become sort of free of them. And this can be somewhat deceptive in the beginning, because you sit down on your brand new pillow, you get yourself situated, you put your hands together, maybe like this, or like this, or like this, whatever it is that you want to do. And you often close your eyes. Many guided meditations tell you, close your eyes. And so you do that. And you get into this problem where you are perhaps trying to clear your mind. You're trying to think of blankness, or you're listening to a voice suggesting that you clear your mind, or a voice that's leading you through some sort of an environment, a calm forest with a stream. You're going, right? So this is familiar to anyone who's given this a try. And then you're sitting there and you're kind of, you might be going, or, as is the case most often, you're focusing on your breath. You're breathing in, so you're going, and then out, and then in. Maybe hold for a moment, and then out. And this is excellent. This is great. But while you're doing it, what happens, let me phrase this correctly. You get 3 or 4 seconds of blankness where you're like, I can do this. Oh, my mind is blank. And then you find after a few more seconds that you're unaware of them passing, you find yourself deeply embroiled in a huge mental drama where something that happened yesterday is vividly passing through your mind. I was changing my tire, or I had a flat tire, and I got out of the car and I looked, there was dust all over the place, and then somebody honked at me because I was in the way, and I started to get irritable, and I should have said this, and wait a minute, I'm supposed to be clearing my mind. Oh, wait a second. I'm not doing this right. And so you start to go, get out of my head, thoughts. And so you successfully push them away. And then you're blank again, and you go, I did it. This is and then bingo, you're back in another drama. You're thinking about something that happened at work, right? Now, I relate all of this back to actually a really wonderful experience I had many years ago with meditation, long ago, way back. And I was trying to teach someone very close to me and very young how to just sit down and do a meditation. And so she was like, okay. And she sat down on the little, I had one of those little meditation pillows that, so you can kind of do your crossed legs and everything. And so she did that. She was game, like totally played along, like, okay, how do I, okay, yeah, I got it. And so she did the whole thing, and what she'd seen on TV, and did this. And for a moment, she was very, very sort of there in meditation land. And she was like, And then I saw this little smile creeping into her face, and she just burst into laughter after at some point. And she turned to me and like looking at me, and I was like, what? And she said, I can't do it. And I said, what do you mean you can't do it? And she said, well, I keep thinking of a bunch of grapes. And I started laughing along with her. And I said, well, then just keep thinking about them. That's great. Just think about them. Is it a nice, does it make you hungry? Do you want the grapes? And she was like, yeah, but I can't get it out of my mind. It's just a big bunch of grapes like there. And I said, that's okay. Just call it your bunch of grapes meditations. And so I thought that was a really great image, actually. Perfect sort of explanation or example of how something can get into the mind that you didn't want there, and yet it can be a gorgeous image. Beautiful. It can be something that you'd actually want in certain meditations. In fact, I'm going to do a great meditation at some point and put it on a video as a guided meditation, the bunch of grapes meditation. Because, any kind of an image can focus you, and it has the effect of being sort of a tool, a mental tool in meditation, because what it does is it focuses and it eliminates other things that might be creeping in and bothering you or distracting you, things that might make you uncomfortable during your day. Here you are, you see this great image of a bunch of grapes there, and why not? It can help your meditations. So that is an example, actually, of positive sort of thoughts, images coming in when you're trying to clear your mind. Now, it's not always a bunch of grapes. It can be, some hardship that you just can't keep out of your mind. But here's the thing. This video is about the main problem, what holds people back. People see this as an issue. And so they constantly fight against it, trying to make themselves better meditators. And so I do this. I sit down, I'm like, okay, for once in my life of meditating, I am going to sit here today, this time, and I'm going to get it. I am going to finally be able to erase all those darn thoughts out of my head. And so you get this idea, I'm not going to do it forcefully. Because I've read in all the meditation books and all the people talk about it, don't fight it. Okay, I'm going to do it peacefully. I'm going to eliminate those thoughts gently. And you get that little zone of trying to relax, and then boom, there's a thought. And the reason thoughts come in to your mind while you're meditating is because they're supposed to. It's because that's what the mind does. That's its thing. It thinks. If you tell it not to think, you're thinking about telling it not to think. If you tell it to clear itself, you're thinking about clearing itself. The mind thinks. people who aren't thinking are probably telling you that. They're probably pretending. It's not thinking that's the problem. The big issue, the big holdup, isn't the thoughts coming in. That's the secret. The big holdup is how you feel about that. You let it get to you. You let it start to make you think less of yourself, less of your mind, less of your abilities. You start to tear yourself down a little bit and criticize yourself for not being able to achieve this magical state of empty mind. Empty minds are responsible for many problems. Minds that can think. And it's your perspective on this that is the key. When you meditate, things happen. Here's secret number 2. A little add-on secret here for this video. It's your attitude about thoughts coming into your meditation that really counts. And there are little tricks you can do. There are little things. Zen masters do things like this in various places. They will interrupt a meditation with a riddle, kind of a riddle, like, what is the sound of, I even hate to say it, but what is that sound of 2 hands clapping? And it really doesn't even merit an answer. The point is that they're asking the question, and it makes your mind do something. It jogs your mind a little bit to get it out of a sort of anything it might be stuck in. But there are other things you can do while you're sitting there. You can open your eyes, and you can sort of move your eyes up and down, and you can sort of not focus on things specifically, but just sort of do a little movement. Sometimes what I do is a slight rocking movement, like I'll do this, and the slight physicality kind of takes the burden away from the fact that you've noticed your mind is wandering. It lets you off the hook a little bit. It eases your reaction to that. Sometimes it can even clear whatever was passing through your mind out. But more often than not, something comes in to replace that. Something floats in. And so constantly as you're meditating, you have this infiltration of thoughts, memories, imaginings, scenarios, what I would have said, what I should say, that kind of little scriptings that go on. And it's just like birds flying through gently. They come, they go, and you can take the same perspective you'd take sitting on a beach watching the birds flutter around, the seagulls, as long as they don't come and steal your pizza. You can just sort of watch them and just take them for what they are and enjoy them. Enjoy the process, because here's the big secret number 2 that I was alluding to a moment ago, and that is that the clearing of your mind isn't the important thing. What really is in operation, what really is going to have an effect over the long term, is the very fact that you're sitting down and taking the time to do it, to meditate. Taking the time to do it. Taking the time to mess it up and get it wrong. That is the gift you've given yourself, and yourself knows it and appreciates it. And that is the huge achievement of meditation that gives you a reward after reward, secretly under the surface, inside, bubbling up slowly through week after week and year after year. In other words, your actual self, the deep, true self, appreciates this gift that you have given to yourself. And that is the incredible power underlying meditation. I'm going to do some more videos about this kind of thing. So keep coming back, subscribe, hit the like, hit that little bell button that gives you alerts when I do something, one of these crazy videos. But stick around, come in, comment, ask questions. I really will appreciate them. And I'm going to seriously try to answer all of them. I think it's important to do that, especially when you're able to, when the audience is still relatively small. I think if you're able to talk to people and give them answers to serious questions, that you should. So thank you. Thank you for watching, and come back.